Hello, viewers. You're welcome back again on the Betong Show. Today, we are going to talk about the new Finnish immigration policy. On the show, I have amazing guests who are doing awesome stuff in their respective, domicile. These guys have awesome portfolio in politics, in media. They are going to unpack with us today. What the future holds for Finland. And I know most of you who are, immigrants or citizens of Finland, you are wondering, like, okay, this new policy that the new government is set in place, is this gonna destroy the country or add more value to the country? And before we dive in, I want to look at this article from this is Friends Vankard. It says Finland's new government announces paradigm shift with immigration crackdown. I mean, this sounds as if the Finnish government is trying to, prevent some like new immigrants or new people to get into Finland, or maybe they are trying to tie the Finnish policy. But guys, we're not gonna go deeper into this article. I just want us to see there are many agencies out there who are putting forth articles out there regarding what is actually going on within the Finnish community right now. And today, as I mentioned, I have awesome guests who are gonna share with us what the thing is going on in the country. And I have Joanna Kaupinen here with me, Obi West with me as well. And these guys are doing amazing stuff in their respective areas. And I'm going to take some short while to actually tell you guys who these guys are. Joanna Kaupinen is a lawyer living and working in Vasa. She is a deputy city councilor in Vasa, and her party is the Swedish People's Party. That means she's in politics. She's feeling the heat as well from her people. And we have also here with me Mr. Obi West. Mr. Obi West is a media guru and a social critic. He is the publisher of Diaspora Gliss magazine. If say you live in Finland and you don't yet know what Diaspora Gliss magazine is, then I think you are not living in Finland actually. If say you don't yet know, then go and check out Diaspora Gliss magazine. He posts every now and then awesome stuff going around the world. And joining us right now is Dr. Teresa Bilola. Dr. Teresa Bilola is a sustainability policy specialist, a global, she's global, and what she does, where she got her doctor certificate is from social science, but they are social science, and she is the civil society and politics. She is an EU project manager and a deputy councillor in Turku. And in civil society and politics, Teresa supports immigrant integration through mentorship, knowledge, and experience sharing, and advocacy for more inclusive and immigrant-led integration planning and implementation. So, I mean, guys, we have a full powerhouse here in on the show. So, guys, you are welcome again today.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
my brother, Debiton.
Yeah, when I look at like what you guys are doing in the country is really amazing. You are working directly with the people, and you guys must have heard one or two people say many things about what is going on in the country. And since you guys are communicating like one-on-one with these guys at times, I think there's so much you guys are going to share with us today. And today, we're just going to begin with the pros and cons of the of Finland's new immigration policy. Like, I'll begin with let's say ladies before gentlemen. Let me begin with Joanna. Joanna, like, what do you think are the pros and cons of this new immigration policy?
Well, I think it's a bit of a mess, to be honest. There are, if you look at the whole policy, there is stuff on international recruitment, getting people more to work in Finland, getting people to study in Finland. That's about 3 pages. Then there's about keeping Finland secure and an immigration policy, and that's about 10 pages. And these are partly contradictory. And I think the main problem I have with the policy is that it doesn't look people as a whole. In a way, we say that engineers from India are welcome to work in Finland. They already work here, but the grandmother from the same family cannot visit as a tourist because she doesn't get a tourist visa. Or so there are good things in the policy, but there's also things that really don't work in practice. But as a whole, it doesn't look people as a whole with families, with social connections. And therefore, in order to make it work, adjustments really need to be made.
What do you think, Dr. Teresa Vilula?
Well, the first thing that I would say about this program that I like to start always when I talk about this program is that we should note that this is a proposal. Still, nothing there is set in stone. And my opinion about this program is that it was not clearly thought out. Like Johanna has said, it was thought out in parts. They didn't think about it as a whole. One of the biggest issue with this program is the way it presents people with immigrant background, or the way it sees them. It sees people with immigrant backgrounds as part of a market, like products that need to be, not as human beings. That's the way I interpret the way this program. So we want this kind of people and we don't want this kind of people. I don't know how that can work. And then they haven't thought about what are the effects of this program. Yes, if this works, what is the long-term effect of the program on social issues and other issues, not just the money and the economy? What is the long-term costs that Finland is going to pay if these proposals get implemented?
When you look at what they mentioned earlier, it's like they want to be, or they want to copy what other Nordic countries are doing. Like what a speech, or like I think should I say a sentence, or what one of the party leader mentioned, that Finland is the only country which is backward in terms of immigration policy. So it's like they are trying to catch up with what is already working in other Nordic countries.
I would like to know which countries they are talking about, where these policies are actually working, and the societies, especially social cohesion and the increasing segregation in society. How are these policies helping in other Nordic countries? I want to know which countries they're talking about.
And if I may add, I don't think it's possible to copy one-to-one from any country. In a way, each country has their own history. Finland is a small country. It's quite a cohesive country. It has a short history of immigration. It has a long history of emigration. Finns have always, or for centuries, gone abroad to look for greener pastures. So just copying one thing or another thing from another country doesn't necessarily work. You can, of course, benchmark, but you need to make it work in the setting that you actually have.
Okay, what do you think, Honorable? Do we have Honorable? Yeah, I think his face. Okay, maybe we just continue. When it comes, he can chip in something with regard to that. And like we have seen reactions from like immigrants, and not only immigrant Finns have reacted negatively to this policy. And as Dr. Teresa Riley say, is a proposal. So does it mean that Parliament still have to approve this proposal, or it is something similar? Like, is it something already ongoing? Is it in practice, or is it something which we still hope to see in the future? And if say this is like something that most let me say members of Parliament want it to happen, do you think we're going to see this like as soon as possible, or maybe it won't actually work? So I don't know like what phase we are with this policy at this point in time.
I don't know.
Who starts?
You want to go first, Joanna?
I'll give it a shot and you can fill in. This is 200 pages for 4 years. So it's a bullet point level strategy. If you think about planning phases, it's kind of the first bullet point draft. It needs to go through the ministries. So the first part is that each of the ministries who is involved in in this case, immigration, in other fields, other ministries, education, health, whatever. There, the civil servants need to put this into law proposals. It also needs to be reflected in the budget. The law proposal will be debated by, or will be debated by the civil society. So basically, the government will seek opinions from different organizations and citizens groups. Then that government proposal, which is kind of the next step, goes to Parliament, and the Parliament discusses it again, looks at different angles. But the fact of the matter is that the coalition party has a majority in Parliament. So if the government really wants to push something through, it will get through in government, even if the opposition doesn't support it. But it does go through this fairly rigorous preparation stage where normally hopefully the discrepancies between different parts will be ironed out, hopefully. But to be sure, immigration policy will get tighter. That's what the government has said. Not every detail is ironed out, but that's what the government has said, that there is a wish to tighten it. Teresa, do you want to fill in?
Yes, you've explained it very well, but also we should note that Finland is a party to international agreements and organizations as well, which will come into play in these things. And yes, if there's the majority party wants to push something, they can push it. But I think this time that we are having this discussion is quite timely, because this is the time for the society to tell the government that this is not what we want. It's time to sort of try to turn the mind of the majority party to know that this is not what the society wants. But it's a long process. This is not even they are not even yet scratching the surface to implement those proposals that are in that 200-page document.
And when thinking about timelines, when could the laws at the earliest coming to force? They need to be prepared first and approved in Parliament. We're talking minimum 1 year, most likely 2 years, or even longer.
Okay, that's
In the,
really
the worst or best case scenario for them is that they would set a foundation that will be inherited by another government that has to start struggling to deal with it.
Yeah.
Dr. Honorable Obi West, what do you think before you went like off? You know, Joanna and Dr. Teresa were giving their opinion or point on the possibilities of this policy, what the impact of this policy to the entire like Finland in particular and the world at large, because Finland is part of the EU, the European Union, and there are certain should I say standard that they need to put in place before some things can happen in the country. But now you work with the media. You also have been in the country for so long time, and you understand so much in what is going on in the country and what is going on with other areas in the Scandinavia. So what is your take with on this policy, the pros and cons on this policy?
Okay, thank you very much for having me, DB Tong, and I must apologize for the break in transmission, if I may put it that way. I'm sharing my network from my phone. I'm still on vacation, and it's good being here. This is a wonderful topic and a wonderful platform for us to air our view and also express ourselves regarding the proposed immigration policy in Finland. What I would want to say here is that, yes, according to what Dr. Teresa and Johanna has said, it's a proposal, but no more a proposal in full. Yes, we should note that I always call it the most problematic, because the policy is aimed at immigrants in Finland. And the most problematic part of that policy, that draconian policy, is the inability to secure a job within 3 months, which is tantamount to revocation of one's resident permit, and that makes the person vulnerable or ready for deportation. It's already incorporated in the Migrate website. And when Migrate received backlash from immigrants in Finland and from concerned citizens, they said it was a coincidence already on their table. They didn't know that the present government is also going to come up with such proposal or such policy. But let's leave that aside. Now, let me focus on the pros and cons. It's I think I'm going to focus mainly on the cons, which is something that is troublesome. The proposed policy is it doesn't recognize the fundamental rights of immigrants in Finland, and it negates inclusivity, integration, and diversity. It baffles me when I read like our sister said, 200 pages proposal, that how come Finland government how come they even thought about this? Because this is not what they should bring on the table. We are in a new era. Countries like Germany, Canada, they are opening their doors for internationals to come in and help, move the country forward. Why Finland new government is about taking Finland 10 steps backwards. So the impact is going to be, massive on the job market. It's going to be massive on the so-called diversity journey of Finland, and it's going to also have a negative impact on inclusivity, because when you come up with policies that are inimical, policies that are anti-migration, it doesn't help the country. It doesn't pay well. In the long run, Finland government will regret ever proposing, or eventually if they pass these proposals into law. So
Wow. But the party doesn't seem as if this is gonna be like, as before you went off, I mentioned something that I found like, was it a statement that one of the leaders made? She said this is gonna be work because it's something which is working in other Scandinavia country, and Finland is the only country which is backward in terms of immigration policy. And now looking at also immigration refugees, like they are cutting down the number of refugees, or they want to cut down the number of refugees that that Finland will receive, during like the UN, this is a UN like it's a standard should I say, number of refugees that Finland can take, but they are cutting this down, or they are reducing it to like to help the economy grow. And this is what they mentioned, like they want to, like, all this they are doing is to help the economy grow, is to help Finland be successful, be attractive to the like the other world, or the other to other countries. Now the question is this gonna be like a challenge to refugees who are already living in Finland, or those who are coming into Finland, and those who already have, like, for example, residence permit in Finland? Is this law going to be applicable to them, or new people coming into the country? I don't know. Maybe we go with Dr. Teresia. Like, is this going to be like that, or maybe not the way I'm trying to put it?
I think Johanna can correct me if I'm wrong. I think that the law affects you if you're putting your application when the law has become operational. And for now, there is no law. There is just a proposal. So it can't affect, there's nothing to affect anybody yet.
And if I may continue, in a way, I think from all of the proposals, the proposal that the refugee quota would be 500 and not 1,000 as it has been before, that's probably going to pass. I mean, let's face it, 1,000 is very little as well. So, but then if the refugee handling, so how to handle applications, if that would be made more efficient, that would actually benefit everyone. But there are also statements that the process, if you are seeking asylum, that some of the legal safeguards would be taken away. So
According to the question that you asked, I think the proposal for now is still it's still a proposal. The policies are still proposals from the government, and until it is passed into law, that is when it becomes applicable. I don't think it's going to be retrospective, like taking one aback. So like what you said, Finland, one of the statements from the government official saying that Finland is the only country in the Scandinavia that is still behind, in terms of immigration, in terms of paradigm shift on immigration, or in terms of tightening immigration. This brings us to the question: how many refugees has Finland taken? Sweden has taken a lot of refugees. Sweden is one of the countries in Europe that the number of refugees is very high in terms of the total population. Same goes to Denmark. In the early 2000s to, I think, 2010, thereabout, Denmark was a safe haven for refugees until they began to, tighten their border. So when you look at the statistics of the number of refugees that Finland has received or welcomed, is far below in proportion to other countries that they are citing. So these are the things that we should, let them know that you guys have not done enough. And it's not right for you guys to equate or trying to measure up with all these countries that I have mentioned. So it's something like Johanna said, at the parliament, the coalition government, they are more than the opposition, and they will be able to have their way when, if eventually this law scales through. That is why I'm telling the immigrants in Finland, internationals, or whatever language you would use, to ensure or to partake in whatever demonstration or whatever way they concerned immigrants come up with, in order to let the government know that we are not okay with this proposal. There has been demonstration upon demonstration. There has been collection of signatories from different quarters aimed at letting the government know that they should take responsibility for what is happening in the new government. And nothing has happened. The government claimed to have.
But do you think that, like,
the government claimed to be a government that will ensure zero tolerance, and we are not saying that zero tolerance mantra or mandate being applied.
You are in the media, and you have covered different stories or different stuff that go that most government or individuals will put out there. And with my experience in the media, I just want to put this to you: when something like that comes up from a government, come up from a government which just won the election, I think it's not just a mere proposal. I think they are just trying to tell the people that this is what we are going to do, whether you like it or not. Now, I know most of you, like Joanna, Dr. Teresa, you work closely with the people. Like, you are close to the people, and let's say your office is there to help immigrants, to help people integrate in Finland, to help them have a better life in Finland. How do you think this policy will make your job difficult?
I think it will make it easier in one aspect, because my point has or is that immigrants need to vote. Most
Exactly.
people have, and you need to really vote. Parties listen to people who vote. Parties are not charitable organizations; they are representatives of people. And of course, for the parliamentary elections and for the presidential elections, one needs to be a citizen. But for the municipal elections, which come in 2025, it's enough that as a non-European, you have been here 2 years anywhere in Finland, and as a European citizens, it's you have voting rights after 2 months. So, and my dream would be that the next elections will be presidential elections. There's many candidates, they are different from each other. Now, the president doesn't really affect immigration policy, I grant you that. But he or she is a picture of Finland to the outside. And I was looking at the statistics, and in the last presidential elections, about 2% of the people of the electorate of the citizens had something else than Finnish or Swedish as a mother tongue. So it's not a big proportion, but it will be bigger this year, or actually in January 24. And Finns with the Finnish language, 70% voted. So it's the highest number of voters in any elections. And for example, people with Thai Thai language, 44%, 50%. Kurdish was 30%, Vietnamese was 20%. So these are lower numbers. What if all immigrant background citizens would actually vote? What if the share of voting would actually increase? That would actually show that we care, that immigrants care and want to participate, and that would send a big signal. The person of the president doesn't change immigration policy, but this is the first time you can show as an immigrant citizen that you care and you vote. I may be dreaming, but you know.
What do you think, Dr. Teresia?
Well, I share the same opinion with Johanna that this should make things a little easier because people can clearly see how elections can affect society, broader society in different ways. One thing also that I am sort of happy about these results, I know it sounds controversial, is that the party that has never been in government and is always putting out propaganda and a lot of things talking everywhere has the opportunity to show how they can make Finland better through this propaganda. I think it's excellent that there is an opportunity to actually show that all this propaganda can actually build a country. It cuts the work easier for some of us who talk about integration and all of that, because you can clearly see what happens when an anti-immigrant or anti-multicultural society party is in government. What are the effects on the society? That part makes our work easier. We don't need a lot of evidence anymore to tell people that, okay, this is the importance of civic activism, of being active as a member of the Finnish society. We are now all on the streets protesting and all of that. It's not a vote. We had the time to vote. People who share strong sentiments that they don't want immigrants in Finland, they voted, and this is the outcome.
Yeah, I
When you
think
don't
I
make
agree with.
the decisions will be made, and they will affect you whether you like it or not.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Like Joanna, what you mentioned on with like immigrants have to come out and vote. I think like it's really bad that I myself I wasn't like I didn't care about I thought I didn't care. I didn't know anything about voting politics in Finland. And when I started going deeper, I realized, wow, even if I refuse not to vote, the policies that are put in
Yes.
place will affect me anyways.
Yep.
And I know most people out there are saying, I don't want to be part of politics, but our day to day life is politics. The government that are elected are there to, create policies that favor you, the citizen, and also your friends, family, everyone that lives in that country. So I have a family in Finland. I live in Finland is my home. And if say I'm not part of the Finnish political system, it means I'm just playing around, or I'm not being taking my future serious, or the future of my kids serious. So I think what you guys mentioned here is really important. Now, Honorable Obi West, you work with the media and you see reaction from different publications, different stuff going on on the media. Do you think that the majority who are opposing these policies are just mere immigrants, or Finns are behind this, or like other Europeans, are also behind, like against, sorry, are not behind, like against this policy, because like I've read some couple of comments, that some people will say, okay, Finland has been generous enough. Now is the time for Finland to, to stop being generous. I don't know. Like, can you respond to that, Honorable Obi West?
Okay, before I respond to that, I would also want to say one or two things regarding the first question you asked my two colleagues on the impacts of the present government, on the impacts of what happened, of the aftermath. Let me put it this aftermath, the impacts of the aftermath of the parliamentary election. I have been an election officer for 3 times in Finland, and I have interviewed key personalities, politicians, and I know how these things works. And I would want to state here that immigrants in Finland, we are still sleeping. We are still sleeping. We are only, majority of us, we are only good at talking. We don't take actions. We are still, enjoying ourselves from the comfort of our homes. During the parliamentary election, the number of immigrants who have the right to vote in the parliamentary election, they didn't show up. Those who have the right to participate or vote or exercise their civic responsibility, they didn't do it for reasons best known to them. And that is why we found ourselves in this, malice, if I may put it that way. And it's a blessing in disguise, because now we have seen, it's just a proposal. Many of us were already shouting, crying, and, wailing. If we had done our part by exercising our civic responsibility, by exercising our franchise, the narrative would have changed, the permutation would have changed, and something positive would have happened. But we didn't. Many of us didn't. I monitored the election. I was part of the election officers, and I know a lot of immigrants in Finland who have the right to vote, but they didn't vote. And when you ask them, they will tell you that they didn't come to Finland because of election to vote. They are here to make their money and leave, forgetting that decisions from the House of Parliament will invariably affect the person, be it positive or negative, be it good or bad. So it's a blessing in disguise. If eventually this present government passes the proposal into law, after the next election, maybe a new government comes, they can still cancel it and go back to the status quo. But we must have felt, or feel the impact of whatever that they propose or they brought to us, be it positive or negative. So it is very important for us to understand the dynamics of politics, most especially in Finland. By the grace of God, I will be interviewing one of the presidential hopefuls, the campaign team, they've reached out to me because of my platform representing immigrants in Finland. And I told them I'm not in Finland. It cannot be physical interview. It's going to be visual, which they have agreed. He's a very big person, you know, among the top three. Though we all know that the office of the president in Finland, it's somehow, you know, very quiet office, and the president doesn't play a big role in the day-to-day governance or day-to-day running of the government. The key functions of the president is, I think, it's foreign relations, security, and defense. You know, with the immigrant, we need security, you know, and also international relations matters a lot, because that is where the government of Finland connects with our respective countries. We know where many of us come from. So that is it. So, like, what I'm trying to say in essence is that the presidential candidates have already sent the questions, and the questions are very, very, you know, controversial, and it's question that represents the state of immigrants in Finland. Hopefully, I'm going to get a feedback from them today or tomorrow so that I can schedule the interview date. Regarding your question, you know, it's time for us to sit. It's time for us to come to our, you know, come to the drawing board, negotiation table, and see how we can play our part, you know, play our part, because we cannot just be there and not doing anything in Finland regarding making our voice heard. You know, Finland is a country that, yes, the fundamental human rights are still, you know, applicable, and we ought to exercise and make meaningful impact through through these means that has been opened for us.
So in essence, what you're trying to say is, if say we really want to see change in Finland, then all immigrants, regardless of where you come from, you know, immigrant born in Finland, immigrant, like some people would consider themselves as Finns, you know, and they don't think that these policies, you know, is gonna impact them. But from what you're saying is, you know, be it a Finn, be it an any immigrants, the far as you come from somewhere into Finland, you know, you have to take this serious, because this is gonna have impact everything that Finland stands for in the first place. And now, if say I have to go to, like, let me go to Dr. Teresa and also Joanna. Joanna, like, you guys are like, the good thing is we have people in politics here, deputy to the council of Vasa and Toko, and also we have, let's say, political commentator to an extent, Dr. Honorable Obi West. Now, like, how do you think, like, I know you guys have mentioned, you know, getting involved into politics, immigrants getting involved into politics, but what kind of infrastructures do you guys think need to be in place to onboard most of these, you know, immigrants who live in Finland, who doesn't actually understand the importance of, you know, involving into politics, elections, and so on? Are there any avenues where, or like ongoing programs that are within your jurisdiction that people can get to know on how they can get into, you know, what is going on in the country and be part of it? Joanna.
Get active. I mean, the work that Obi is doing is great, spreading out information, interviewing political people, interviewing people in politics in Finland. Like, read papers, get active in your city. On the municipal level, the threshold of getting active is very low. So most cities, I know at least Vaasa, and I think Helsinki, Turku, Espoo, all of these have councils for immigrant matters. So you can go there, you can become a member of that council, or you can just talk to people in your municipalities. They are, I was in a seminar where the person in Espoo, second biggest city in Finland, responsible for immigration matters, and he said that for them, it's it's an absolute must that they must do a good immigration policy, regardless of what the government does. Every third child in Espoo city schools has a mother tongue which is not Finnish or Swedish. So in order for the cities to work, they need to do good immigration work. So so a lot can be done on your local level or on your city part level, so to speak. The same in Vasa, we have a few programs directed to immigrants and their better immigration. But then also stand as a candidate. Standing as a candidate in the municipal elections is fairly easy. So have a look at the parties. There are 6, 7 to choose from, and send them a message, the one that you like, that, hey, when do you have your next meeting? So I would encourage people to just look around and get involved. And I know that people don't have huge amounts of time. We have work, we have children, we have school, things like that. But even a small participation gives you more information and makes your voice heard. Now, parties need to do better as well. And I'm happy to hear that at least one of the candidates has reached out to your media, Obi. But so parties do need to do more as well, but also the people themselves. So it's a two-way street. Local activism.
Yes, Johanna has mentioned several things. For instance, the multicultural councils that are supposed to be targeted at immigrants. There's one in Turku as well. You can always look at who are the members of this almost the whole of it should be people of immigrant background. You can reach out to those people. That's one way to get active. But I don't want to focus a lot on what the immigrants should do. We have to notice that the Finnish political system was not structurally built with immigrants in mind. And we are not yet there when it comes to communicating to immigrants or even thinking about immigrants in the political processes and all of that. 10% of Turku is people of immigrant background, but all the council sessions are in Finnish. There's not even a provision for selko-suomi. So even if these people want to know what is happening in the council, it takes a lot of effort for them to know what is happening in the council. That is one thing that needs to be addressed. Political parties can do it with low threshold services. Like, okay, let's give a bit more information in other languages. The language in which you think is very important. Even the immigrants who speak Finnish, a lot of us are thinking first in our first language. So it's not the same thing when you are given information in Finnish, even though you are speaking Finnish. That's just language. But then there's the structural issues, even in the way political issues are communicated. Are we thinking about the different groups of society? Or are we thinking that, okay, the way information is given in Finland, everyone is supposed to know this? Not thinking that there are people who are from certain backgrounds who they don't have the basic knowledge. So you have to start from the basics. I recently noticed that the Green Party has an association under it called Green Sisu, which was supposed to be for everything there was supposed to be in English or other languages. And it was quite active, but then got dormant. It's one thing that I want to push, that it should be, and I hope that other parties can think about having within their parties special associations or initiatives that are targeted at immigrants. It doesn't mean that they should go in and translate everything in the party and start doing everything in other languages, but just the thought that, okay, a proportion of our voters are immigrants. There are some immigrants who vote faithfully, who follow the political processes faithfully, but does the system think about these people when they are doing politics, when they are planning all these processes? Do they think about these people? The immigrant can do all these things that you are saying that they should do. You can, as a citizen or as a resident of a city, put initiatives. There are platforms for that. Make proposals to the city. But are the cities and the decision makers thinking about the different groups of society that are represented in their communities? Finland is no longer homogeneous, but the structures are still very homogeneous.
Wow, I must say, like, you and other immigrants who came into politics are the reason why I understood politics in Finland in the first place. So, you know, there might not be like let's say tangible structure yet, like change of system. But I think to an extent there are some people who, like, based on your personalities, your involvement into politics, have opened their eyes, and I'm one of those people who, like, my eyes have opened, getting involved into so many aspects of politics, even though I'm not fully involved in politics. But I started getting that information, by like when you join when you and other immigrants join politics. And
Yeah,
now,
that's
like,
that's the power of representation. And another thing that immigrants need are mentors. A lot
Yeah.
of the people who have succeeded in Finnish politics started from the student unions and school councils, and they had people that they looked up to. But for most immigrants, there's no one to look up to. So one thing that the system can think about is, how do we mentor immigrants in the political process? How do we
Yeah.
support them? Because we don't have, as immigrant politicians, we don't have those networks. We don't have friends from daycare up till now. We don't have those networks, and it's very important in politics. So how does the system bridge that gap for aspirants from the immigrant background communities?
wow. Okay, our next focus, our next point of discussion is going to be like technical, tricky, on ethical consideration of the Finnish new immigration policy. I know this might sound a little bit strange to some people, but some people are looking at this policy as being racist, to different nationalities, So, what do you guys think? Is this being racist at this government, racist government? you know what do you guys think about it? Let's begin with Honorable Obi West.
Um, you are talking about the new.
Like how the ethical consideration of this policy to the international community in Finland. Most people think that, let me not say most, like some of the comments that I've read, and also followed most of the march past, the communication there is more of the government doesn't want, like they don't want to see immigrants, or they don't want internationals in Finland to be in Finland. They want them to go live Finland. So some people are looking at this as maybe some sort of racism or something, or do we have to strike out racism? Maybe it's just like they're just wanting to help Finland, make Finland a better country, as they say.
There is no other word to define the new policies that the government have proposed than to say it without missing of words that it is a racist policies. It's a policy targeted at immigrants, and the aim is for Finland to shut its door on migration, which is counterproductive and counter-effective, because Finland is heading towards manpower shortage because Finland is an aging country, and according to indices and according to economic analysis, if nothing is done to checkmate the aging economy by opening the doors to migration and encouraging talents to come to Finland, Finland is going to have a big problem. So the policies that have been proposed, that is on the table, that we are dealing with now, is a racist policy. It's a policy that aimed at making immigrants becoming labor tool. When you look at the components of the policy, so there's you saying that it's a bit controversial. It's not controversial. I always say it and tell people that the policy that the new government are proposing, it's policy that has racial undertones. It's a policy that's being targeted at immigrants in Finland by tightening the Finnish borders and also shutting doors for people to come in. So I don't think, in my term or in my opinion, it's a racist policy. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, Joanna?
Finland is a racist country. That's just a fact. There are deep inequalities in the system, and Finland is not alone in this case. So, in a way, saying that we have zero tolerance for racism, it's a bit simplification. So I do think that many of the laws are basically they promote equality on the surface, but the reality treats people differently. So, and this has been the case also in the previous government. So it's now. I disagree a little bit with Obi in the sense that the government policy has clearly two parts. One is this 10 pages on shutting down borders and so forth, and the other part is 2 pages on getting students to Finland. And these don't work together. They have also been prepared in 2 different tables. And I was reading the policy, and there is one sentence on the vision of government. And by 2031, the aim is that Finland is the world's most interesting country to invest and create new. Now, like, hallelujah, this is not possible without the contribution of a vibrant immigrant community. I give you a second amount. The policy also, or the government policy also says that, so the first one was from page 96, and this one is from page 60. In 4 years, we should have 100,000 more people in the workforce. So basically, people, the number of people should be 100,000 more. Now,
from where?
Compared to now, exactly
from where would those people come
from where? And if you look at that, and this I also heard from this ESPO director for immigration, when you look at the statistics 20 years back, so during the last 20 years, the people with Finnish or Swedish as a mother tongue in the workforce, the number of those people has decreased by 15,000. The number of people in the workforce has increased by 149,000, all of which have something else than Finnish or Swedish as a mother tongue. So the increase, we already have a labor shortage. So and to some extent, yeah, I'm pretty sure that I'm sure that the worst of the limitations will not happen. For example, this 3-month rule that if you're here to work and you don't have work in 3 months, you're kicked out, and your employer would have to inform Migri about it, which is the tightening. This has been opposed by every CEO of every company in Finland, or the major companies. So there will be adjustments, but I don't know. It's not a good program all in all. It has good elements, but it doesn't see people as people, and I think that's wrong. And I think it's wrong for the people, but it's also wrong for the country. And it is, in this respect, racist, because these people are the ones in Africa, in Asia, in Latin America, in America, so outside Europe.
Wow, Doc.
Yes. I wouldn't even. It's not even a question whether this is motivated by racism or by racially motivated discrimination. Um, how do you go in a government program and you start naming the countries where you want to take people from? Does labor force have a color? Does it have a nationality? If Finland wants labor force, it should be labor force, period. It's not supposed to be we want from here and from here and here. And then I don't know whether they've mentioned the reason why they want from those particular countries. But I think the answer is in the win. We all know why they want people from those countries, and we know the countries which they don't want people from. So there is no denying that this is racism or it's racially motivated. And we have seen it how it has played in the media, how uh, the politicians' real colors are coming out. The promises that they made during the elections is not what they're delivering on. Even the head of the government saying that uh, this government has zero tolerance to racism. I don't even know what that means. And then you have this government program that is clearly going the opposite direction. And then we are singing that we need labor force. Johanna was saying 100,000, and I'm asking from where?
Exactly.
It's not a secret that Finland's population is aging, birth rate is low, and we cannot meet that demand by trying to have quote unquote traditional Finnish people only in the labor force. There's no way we are going to meet that target. So from where are we going to get these 100,000 people on the one hand, and then on the other hand, we are trying to, as much as possible, to keep the doors of Finland closed from inside and also from the borders. From inside because we don't want to let immigrants into anywhere, not into the labor market, not anywhere. Uh, and even where the immigrants are struggling to contribute to the society, we are making sure that we are making it really difficult for them to get anywhere. The sectors where the immigrants are working the most are the sectors where we have decided that we will not make anything good there. They are the lowest paid, they have the worst working conditions, and all of that. So, how can we say we want to be the most interesting country for investors?
Wow, amazing discussion about the new Finnish, immigration policy, and I'm happy to have all of you guys here today. Sharing your opinion, what we might expect in the future, and what the citizens of the country or those living in the country should do in the future to prevent this from happening, and also to elect those who are going to help them create more favorable policies. And let's just go through some few comments before we go we have Tala Lin Yori says, we are proud of your team, Ma. Also we have Izella Yvonne says, let this serve as an eye opener to us immigrants. And Mami Emmanuel Fon says, exactly, we need to push for change. And also Mami Emanuela says, from where, like, okay, he was responding to what Dr. Teresa was mentioning, and also Joanna, that this immigration, this workforce, where is it going to come from? And also Mami Emanuela says, with many unemployed still living in Finland and being pushed to particular jobs. So I think the reaction out there, we have seen the reaction already on the streets, the demonstration on different medias, and we have to create more conversations like this so that we can keep reaching out to more people, educating more people on what is going on. And guys, if say you are not part of Honorable Obi West's platform, go and search for Diaspora Magazine, Diaspora Gliss Magazine. He posts now and then about what is going on in Finland and other areas. And also make sure you follow Joanna on Facebook and LinkedIn. It's the same name, Joanna Karpinen, Dr. Teresa Bilola as well, the same name. And they update now and then what is going on within that different constituency. And like the best thing we can do is just to be around these guys who are there, who are on top of like in politics, who are there in politics to help create policies that's going to favor everyone who is living in the country. And as I mentioned earlier, become like I got engaged in politics fully, not like fully, but I become interested in politics when I saw most of these guys, Teresa Bilola and others, immigrants who came into politics, and I know many others out there, are experiencing the same, they have the same experience. So before we go, do you guys have any last word you want to say to the people? Something you want to like a message you want to pass out before we go? Joanna?
Learn Finnish or Swedish. That part is really, in a way, if you plan to hear, learn Finnish or Swedish. It's not that difficult. And then go vote.
Go vote. I like that. Honorable Obi West?
Okay, what I would love to say is that the municipal election is coming. I think in 2 years' time, it's high time for us to start the preparation. One thing that I found out is that some of those who claim to be politicians in Finland from immigrant background, they don't really know the reason why they ventured into politics. Many of them just decided to get into politics because, oh, my friend is already a politician, I can still do it. Okay, let me go and register with this political party. Some of them don't even know the core values or what the party represents. So it's better for us to have quality representatives than to have quantity. I don't know if you guys understand what I mean. Quality, those who can represent us, those who understands the plights of immigrants in Finland. And a divided house cannot stand. So it's better we have a consensus candidate. It has happened in different countries now. I can tell you 1 or 2 countries where immigrants came together. So this is our own. Let's rally behind this person instead of splitting our votes. I've seen countless number of times that our votes were splitted, and at the end, nobody got in there. So please, it's not about okay, Cameroonian is doing it. Oh, Nigerians, let's look for a Nigerian who could represent. It's not about representing a country. It's about representing a community. A community, because the Afro diaspora in Finland needs to be well represented. Do you know the reason we that organize these events, we are having a lot of challenges? For example, if I have an event coming up and I applied for grant or for funding from a municipal council, and there is a board that oversees all application. If, for example, there's no African or there's no immigrant in that board, and this project or event is about representing or promoting immigrant cause in Finland, those who are there will just because there's no voice, nobody to represent you there, they will just discard it and push it aside. So we need clear representation. Please, let's rally behind those we know that they can represent us, because what is it called? Municipal election is not that far from today. 2 years time, we'll be going to the polls. So I believe this time around we are going to have formidable candidates who will get in there and represent us. Once they get to the municipal council, it begins. Politics is a journey. From there, you can see they do well and they'll get to the parliament. So in a nutshell, what I want to say is that it's a clarion call. All immigrants in Finland should ensure that we come together, make our voice heard by picking those who would represent us well when it comes to discharging the dividends of democracy in Finland.
Wow. Doc?
My last words would be that get knowledge. Immigrants need to get knowledge. Immigrants need to get interested in getting knowledge. I see how reactions to this government policy are divided. Some are just emotions. And then people go out and say whatever without even understanding what is in the government program or anything. We need to read, we need to be able to find information, even when we are not given. For us to be able to speak back to the government, we need to be able to know what is going on. So get interested in politics. There are easy ways to start. You don't even need to start first going to run for elections. Just first get interested. Read. Read about what is going on. What happened today in Parliament? What happened these days? There are several online platforms where you can get the information about what is happening in politics in several languages. Get information. The second thing is stay active. Speak out, like we are all speaking out now, and then act. We are all on the streets, we are all on social media and different places complaining about the government program. I hope that we keep up this attitude of speaking back to the government. But then when the time comes for us to use our vote voice, we should also use it, because that will be the most effective.
Can I add one thing? Sorry.
Yeah, you can.
If you are curious about a particular party and you want to get engaged more than just reading their policy, right now the presidential campaigns are looking for volunteers. Go and make coffee. Go and pour coffee. That's an easy way of low threshold. You can snoop around a little bit how they are. Are they, do they represent values that you share? They would be happy to receive volunteers, and there are many candidates to choose from.
Yeah, and most of those events or whatever that are organized around elections are open. They're always looking for people to come and take part.
Exactly.
Wow, guys, we have come to the end of this session. It has been an amazing session so far. And as Zella rightly said, a united front is what we need. And this is in response to what most of the guests today have mentioned. Guys, there's nothing you can do if, say, you're not part of the day-to-day decision of the country that you live in. And what these guys have mentioned here today is an eye-opener for us all who are part of the Finnish community to stand up and take actions. Don't just sit there and think that someone's gonna do this for you, and when it happens, you go to the street and start ranting. Right now is the time for you to stand and speak out. Make your voice heard, and make sure you are part of the community. Be active, as Dr. Teresa rightly said, and learn Finnish and Swedish, as Joanna mentioned, and be active. Be active. Finland is a beautiful country, and we all are in Finland because we love the country. And even if you don't love the country, you still live in the country. And as you live in the country, you need to be part of the, day-to-day activities of the country. And I'm gonna be, bringing more of such conversation on this platform. So if you guys like something like this, then you want to make sure you like this content, share it with your friends. Let's write it together and make make our voice heard out there. So guys, you are all welcome, and I wish to have you guys again back someday in the future, so that we can deliberate more on these issues and track what has been going on. If say different changes have been made in like so far from this day, because we expect that a lot of changes are going to be made in the future as immigrants unite together to make this happen. So thanks, guys, and all those who have been watching, you are amazing. Thanks for commenting, thanks for being part of this show, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Have a nice day. Bye bye.
Yeah, bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.